Leo kept swinging his legs under the restaurant table while staring at the front door every few seconds. "Dad, maybe Mom's parking the car," he said hopefully. I forced a smile. "Yeah, maybe." But deep inside, I already knew Vanessa was not coming. The pizza in front of us had gone cold nearly 30 minutes earlier. The birthday candles had melted into the cake. Families around us laughed loudly, while Leo kept watching the entrance with quiet hope that broke my heart more every minute. Then my phone vibrated. Vanessa's name appeared on the screen. I opened a message slowly. "Emergency meeting with Adrian. I can't make it tonight. Tell Leo I'm sorry." I stared at those words for several seconds. No apology to me. No explanation. Just another excuse. Leo noticed my face immediately. "What did Mom say?" I swallowed hard before answering. "She got stuck at work." His smile disappeared. Oh, that single word shattered something inside me. He looked down at the untouched birthday cake and quietly asked, "Did she forget again?" "No," I lied softly. "She just got busy." Leo nodded, pretending to understand. But I saw his eyes filling with tears anyway. I looked around the restaurant. Everyone was smiling, except my son. That moment hurt more than every argument Vanessa and I had during the last year combined. I reached across the table and squeezed Leo's shoulder gently. "Hey, we can still have fun, okay?" He tried smiling again. "Yeah, but children could only fake happiness for so long." During the drive home, rain hit the windshield heavily while Leo sat silently in the back seat, holding the unopened birthday gift Vanessa never got to see him open. Halfway home, I heard him sniff quietly. "Dad, yeah. Is Mom mad at me?" My hands tightened around the steering wheel instantly. "No, never." "Then why doesn't she want to be with us anymore?" I had no answer for that. And maybe that was the worst part. When we finally reached home, Leo walked straight to his room without another word. I stood in the hallway listening to the soft sound of him crying through the door. I closed my eyes. For months, I kept telling myself Vanessa was just stressed, busy, focused on her company. But deep down, I already knew the truth. Adrian Cole had become more important to her than we were. Rachel noticed it months before I did. My older sister leaned against the kitchen counter while I poured myself coffee with shaking hands. "She missed his birthday, Ethan." "I know." She didn't even try. I stayed silent. Rachel crossed her arms. "You've been protecting her for too long. She's under pressure." "No," Rachel snapped. "She checked out emotionally months ago. You just refused to admit it." I wanted to argue, but I couldn't, because she was right. Around midnight, the apartment door finally opened. Vanessa walked inside wearing a dark coat, holding her phone against her ear. "No, Adrian, send me the revised numbers tomorrow," she said while kicking off her heels. "I'll handle the investors myself." Then she noticed me sitting in the living room. "I'll call you back." The silence between us felt cold immediately. "You missed his birthday," I said quietly. Vanessa rubbed her forehead tiredly. "I already texted you. He waited for you for 3 hours. I had an emergency meeting with Adrian." Her eyes narrowed instantly. "What's that supposed to mean?" I laughed bitterly. "Come on, Vanessa. You're unbelievable." She threw her purse onto the couch. "Do you know how much pressure I'm under right now? And do you know our son cried himself to sleep tonight?" That finally made her pause. For 1 second, I thought I saw guilt in her face. And it disappeared. "You're making me choose between my career and this family," she snapped. I stared at her in disbelief. "That's what you think this is?" "What else is it?" she shot back. "Every time work gets intense, you act like I'm abandoning you." "Not me," I said quietly. "Leo." Vanessa looked away immediately. That hurt even more. I stood slowly. "You didn't even call him yourself." "I was busy. You're always busy lately." "That company is paying for this apartment, Ethan." I shook my head tiredly. "No, we built this life together." She laughed sharply. "Please, you act like staying home with Leo is harder than running a company." Something inside me finally cracked. I had defended her for so long, made excuses for her, protected her image in front of Leo. But hearing her talk about our family like it was a burden made me feel emotionally exhausted. "You know what hurts most?" I asked softly. Vanessa crossed her arms. "What?" "You didn't even sound sorry." The silence afterward felt suffocating. Then she grabbed her purse again angrily. I'm too tired for this conversation. Of course you are. She stopped walking. What's that supposed to mean? It means Adrian gets the best version of you while your family gets whatever's left. Vanessa looked furious now. You're jealous of my business partner? I'm jealous of anyone who still matters to you. Her expression hardened instantly. Maybe if you understood ambition, we wouldn't keep having this conversation. That sentence hit harder than I expected, because part of me feared she actually believed it. Vanessa disappeared into the bedroom and slammed the door behind her. I stayed alone in the dark living room, listening to the rain outside. Everything felt heavy. The silence, the disappointment, the growing realization that my marriage was dying slowly right in front of me. I sat there for nearly an hour staring at nothing. Then suddenly, a strange blue screen appeared in front of my eyes. System activated. I froze instantly. Another line appeared. Truth detection mode enabled. My heart started pounding violently. What the hell? The screen glowed brighter. Warning, subject Vanessa Walker displays 87% emotional detachment from family unit. Fear rushed through me immediately. Not sadness, not anger, fear. Because for the first time in years, something confirmed the truth I had been desperately trying to ignore. My family was falling apart, and somehow, this system already knew it. The blue screen stayed in front of me long after Vanessa slammed the bedroom door. I rubbed my eyes hard. This can't be real. But the screen remained glowing in the darkness. The next morning, I convinced myself stress was making me hallucinate. I got Leo ready for school, while Vanessa rushed around the apartment answering business calls without even looking at us properly. Mom, are you coming to my soccer game Friday? Leo asked quietly. Vanessa grabbed her purse. I'll try, sweetheart. The blue screen suddenly appeared again beside her. My stomach tightened instantly. Vanessa kissed Leo's forehead distractedly and walked toward the door. Love you, she said automatically. The door closed behind her. Leo stared down at the kitchen table silently. Dad, yeah. Did Mom stop loving us? That question nearly destroyed me. I looked at my 7-year-old son sitting there, trying to understand why his mother kept disappearing emotionally from our lives. No, I answered carefully. She's just confused right now. Leo nodded slowly. But children always understood more than adults realized. After dropping him at school, I drove to work with my mind spinning. Every warning the system gave me kept proving accurate. That terrified me. Marcus noticed something was wrong immediately when I walked into the office. My best friend leaned back in his chair and frowned. You look awful. Didn't sleep much. That bad. I hesitated before sitting across from him quietly. What would you do if you knew someone was lying to you constantly? Marcus shrugged. Depends. Work or marriage? I laughed bitterly. Definitely marriage. His expression changed instantly. Vanessa. I stayed silent. Marcus sighed heavily. Ethan, I've been trying not to say this for months, but something feels off with her and Adrian. I know. No, I mean really off. I rubbed my forehead tiredly. I think she's hiding more than I realized. Marcus leaned forward carefully. Then stop reacting emotionally and start paying attention logically. That advice stayed in my head all day. The system seemed to agree with him. Every time Vanessa texted me excuses about meetings or investor dinners, the blue screen quietly revealed inconsistencies. At first, I felt sick reading those messages. Part of me still wanted them to be wrong. I still loved my wife despite everything. That was the painful part. I wasn't angry yet. I was grieving. 3 nights later, Vanessa walked into the apartment after midnight smelling like expensive perfume and rain. How was work? She asked casually. I looked up from the couch calmly. Busy. That was all. No accusations. No questions. No emotional reaction. Her eyes narrowed slightly. Usually, I would ask where she had been. Usually, I would fight for her attention. But now I simply watch her quietly. And that silence clearly made her uncomfortable. You're acting strange lately, she said carefully. I'm tired. Are you mad about Leo's birthday still? I looked at her for several seconds before answering. He deserved better. Guilt flashed across her face briefly. Then her phone buzzed. Adrian's name appeared on the screen. The system activated instantly. Vanessa turned the phone over quickly. That tiny movement told me everything. You should answer it, I said calmly. She looked surprised by my reaction. It's just work. I didn't say it wasn't. That silence afterward felt sharp enough to cut through the room. For the first time, Vanessa looked nervous around me. The next week became unbearable. The system kept exposing small eyes everywhere. Fake meetings, changed schedules, deleted call histories. Meanwhile, Leo became quieter every day. One evening, I found him sitting alone in his room drawing pictures. I smiled softly. What are you working on? He handed me the paper quietly. It showed me holding his hand while Vanessa stood far away beside a tall man in a black suit. Adrian, my chest tightened painfully. Buddy, Leo stared down at the floor. Mom likes being with him more. I immediately knelt beside him. Hey, listen to me carefully. None of this is your fault. Then why doesn't she stay home anymore? I had no answer. That helplessness slowly turned into something colder inside me. Focus, observation, control. The system kept pushing me toward discipline instead of rage. So I started documenting everything carefully. Phone records, schedules, financial reports, strange transfers. Marcus helped quietly without asking too many questions. One afternoon, he closed my office door and lowered his voice. Adrian's been acting arrogant lately. Ow! He keeps talking like your position at home already belongs to him. My jaw tightened instantly. Marcus looked furious. You want me to handle him? No, Ethan. I said no. The system flashed again suddenly. That terrified me almost as much as the betrayal itself, because somehow this strange thing understood me better than I understood myself. Later that night, Vanessa sat across from me during dinner while scrolling through her phone distractedly. You've barely spoken to me all week, she muttered. I kept eating quietly. That bothers you now? I asked. She looked up immediately. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. No. Say it. I finally met her eyes calmly. You stopped talking to this family months ago. That hit harder than yelling ever could. Vanessa stared at me silently for several seconds. Then for the first time in months, she actually looked uncertain. I think you're pulling away from me, she whispered. I almost laughed at the irony. Before I could answer, the system suddenly flashed bright red across my vision. My heart stopped. Another line appeared immediately. I froze completely. What? Fear rushed through my body instantly. Not jealousy, not heartbreak. Fear, because this was no longer just about emotional betrayal anymore. This involved my son, and suddenly I realized something terrifying. I wasn't just watching my marriage collapse. I was uncovering something far more dangerous hidden inside it. I barely slept after the system exposed the inheritance account. Every thought in my head kept circling back to Leo. My father created that trust fund before he died. It was supposed to protect Leo's future no matter what happened to me or Vanessa. Nobody besides family lawyers should have been able to touch it. But somehow Adrian's name appeared connected to the account. That alone made me sick. The next morning, I sat inside my office pretending to work while secretly reviewing financial records on my laptop. The system kept highlighting suspicious details in glowing blue text. Unauthorized transfer detected. Document signature inconsistency found. Third-party access granted. My hand started shaking. Ethan, I looked up quickly. Marcus stood in the doorway, holding coffee. You okay? No. He walked inside immediately and shut the door behind him. Talk to me. I hesitated before turning the laptop toward him. Marcus stared at the highlighted documents silently. What the hell is this? Someone accessed Leo's trust fund. His face darkened instantly. Ooh, I swallowed hard. Vanessa approved it. Marcus looked genuinely shocked. No way. I wish you were right. He sat down slowly while rubbing his jaw. You think Adrian pushed her into it? I don't know anymore. But deep inside, I already suspected the truth. Adrian manipulated people professionally, and Vanessa had been emotionally vulnerable for months. The system suddenly flashed beside Marcus. Loyalty confirmed. That strange message calmed me more than I expected. At least somebody around me was still trustworthy. Later that afternoon, I met Olivia Grant at a quiet cafe downtown. Olivia had been one of my closest friends since college. Now she was one of the best corporate lawyers in the city. She reviewed the documents carefully while rain hit the cafe windows outside. "This is bad," she said finally. "How bad?" Olivia lowered her voice. "These authorization signatures look manipulated." My chest tightened immediately. Meaning Vanessa may have signed documents without fully understanding what she approved. I stared at her silently. Olivia sighed heavily. "Ethan, Adrian Cole has a history." "What kind of history?" "He targets emotionally unstable business partners, gains trust slowly, pushes risky investments. By the time they realize what's happening, they're already trapped financially." That made my stomach twist violently, because suddenly everything started making sense. Vanessa's emotional distance, her constant dependence on Adrian, the strange financial decisions. I looked down at the documents again. She trusted him. Olivia nodded carefully, probably more than she should have. I laughed bitterly, and I kept thinking this was just an affair. "Maybe it started emotionally," Olivia said softly. But this became something far more dangerous. When I arrived home that evening, Vanessa sat alone at the kitchen counter staring at her phone anxiously. The moment she saw me, her expression changed. "You're home early." "Yeah." I placed my briefcase down calmly and watched her carefully. She looked exhausted, nervous, almost scared. For the first time in months, I noticed how badly she was unraveling beneath the surface. Then I asked quietly, "Why does Adrian have access to Leo's trust fund?" The color drained from her face instantly. That reaction told me everything. Vanessa stood up too quickly. "What are you talking about?" I stayed calm. That calmness seemed to terrify her more than yelling ever could. "You know exactly what I'm talking about." Her breathing became uneven immediately. "Ethan, listen." "No." I interrupted quietly. "You listen." The silence between us felt suffocating. Vanessa gripped the kitchen counter tightly. It wasn't supposed to become this complicated. My heart sank hearing those words. Not denial, not confusion, an explanation. "You let him near my son's future," I said softly. "Our son," she whispered. I almost broke right there, because despite everything, part of me still loved her. That was the painful truth. Vanessa's eyes filled with tears suddenly. "Adrian said it was temporary." "Temporary?" "He promised the money would be protected." I stared at her in disbelief. "You trusted him with Leo's inheritance? You don't understand the pressure I was under." "No," I snapped finally. "You don't understand what you've done." Vanessa started crying immediately. "I was trying to save the company, at the cost of our family. He said it would work." The system flashed bright red suddenly. Subject displays high panic response. Deception level reduced. For the first time, I realized Vanessa wasn't hiding behind arrogance anymore. She was genuinely terrified. Rachel arrived less than an hour later after I called her. The moment she learned about the trust fund situation, she exploded. "She did what?" Rachel shouted. Vanessa looked shattered, sitting on the couch silently. Rachel pointed at her angrily. "That money belonged to Leo." "I know," Vanessa whispered weakly. "You let that man near your child's future?" Tears rolled down Vanessa's face. "I thought I could fix everything before Ethan found out." Rachel looked disgusted. "You risked your son's life for Adrian Cole?" "Stop saying his name like that." Vanessa suddenly screamed. The room went silent instantly. That reaction chilled me, because it sounded less like love and more like fear. Rachel noticed it too. Her expression slowly changed from anger to concern. "Oh my God," she whispered. "What did he do to you?" Vanessa covered her face immediately. And for the first time since all of this began, I realized something terrifying. Vanessa wasn't in control anymore either. She was trapped. The system activated again beside me. "Warning, child safety risk detected." Every nerve in my body froze. Another line appeared slowly. "Subject Adrian Cole associated with high financial instability. Behavioral threat level increasing." My blood turned cold instantly. Olivia's earlier warning echoed inside my head. Adrian targeted vulnerable people, manipulated them, used them, and now he had access to money connected to my son. I looked toward Leo's bedroom down the hallway. My breathing became sharp suddenly. This was no longer about my marriage collapsing. This was no longer about betrayal. My child was in danger. And for the first time since the system appeared, I truly understood how serious everything had become. The investor event looked perfect from the outside. Crystal lights reflected across the massive ballroom, while executives laughed beside expensive champagne towers. Huge digital screens displayed Vanessa's company logo behind the stage. Anyone watching would have believed she was successful, powerful, in control. But I already knew everything was collapsing underneath the surface. Marcus adjusted his tie beside me and muttered, "You ready for this?" "No," I answered honestly. Rachel crossed her arms tightly. "Good. That means you still have a conscience." Olivia stood beside us, holding a folder filled with copied financial records. "Once this starts, there's no stopping it." I looked around the crowded ballroom quietly. Then I saw Vanessa near the stage speaking with Adrian. She looked nervous. Adrian looked confident. Too confident. The system flashed softly beside him. High manipulation behavior detected. My jaw tightened instantly. For months, I thought I wanted revenge. But standing there watching Vanessa smile nervously beside the man destroying her life, I mostly felt tired. The event officially started minutes later. Investors applauded while Adrian walked onto the stage beside Vanessa. "Tonight represents growth," Adrian announced smoothly. "A new future for this company." The screen behind him displayed financial projections. Lies. Every single number connected back to stolen money and manipulated accounts. Vanessa kept glancing toward the audience anxiously until her eyes finally found mine. The moment she saw me standing beside Olivia and Rachel, fear spread across her face immediately. She knew. Adrian noticed her reaction. "What's wrong?" Vanessa whispered something quietly to him. Then he looked directly at me. His confident smile faded slightly. I stepped forward calmly. "Actually," I said loudly, "before we discuss the company's future, I think everyone deserves to understand where the money came from." The ballroom fell silent instantly. Adrian forced a laugh. "Ethan, this isn't the place." "Oh, I think it's exactly the place." Marcus handed Olivia the folder. She walked forward confidently. "These documents prove unauthorized financial transfers connected to child inheritance accounts." Murmurs exploded across the room. Vanessa looked frozen. Adrian immediately stepped away from her slightly. That tiny movement told me everything. "Coward." One investor stood up angrily. "What is this?" Olivia opened the folder calmly. "Forgery. Fraud. Financial manipulation." Adrian's face darkened instantly. "This is ridiculous." "No," I interrupted quietly. "What's ridiculous is using my son's trust fund to save your failing business deals." The entire room erupted. Vanessa stared at Adrian in horror. "You told me the transfers were temporary." Adrian turned toward her sharply. "Don't start panicking now. You said the money was protected. It would have been if you stayed calm." That was the moment she finally understood. He never cared about her. Not emotionally. Not professionally. She was just useful. Vanessa looked physically sick, realizing the truth. "You used me," she whispered. Adrian scoffed loudly. "Please. You practically handed everything over yourself." Her face broke instantly. I watched years of pride collapse inside her eyes in real time. Then Adrian pointed directly at her. "She approved every transfer. Every signature belongs to her." Vanessa stepped backward like he had slapped her. "You promised." "I promised nothing," Adrian snapped. "You were desperate." "That's not my fault." Rachel cursed under her breath beside me. Marcus looked ready to punch him. Security started moving toward the stage after several investors began shouting angrily. Adrian suddenly tried forcing his way past them. "Move!" But security grabbed him immediately. "Sir, you need to come with us. This is a misunderstanding." Nobody believed him anymore, especially Vanessa. She stared at him while tears rolled down her face silently. "You said we were a team," she whispered weakly. Adrian looked furious now. "Grow up, Vanessa." Then security dragged him out while cameras flashed everywhere around the ballroom. The moment he disappeared through the doors, Vanessa completely broke down. Not quietly, not gracefully. She collapsed into a chair, crying hard enough that several executives awkwardly looked away. I never thought it would go this far, she whispered. Part of me wanted to hate her. Part of me still remembered the woman I married before all of this destroyed us. That was the painful part. Even now, I couldn't completely stop caring. Later that night, the apartment felt colder than ever. Vanessa sat silently at the kitchen table while mascara stains covered her face. Her phone kept buzzing endlessly from reporters, investors, and lawyers. She ignored all of them. Leo slowly walked into the kitchen, holding his blanket. Dad! I looked up immediately. Hey, buddy. He noticed Vanessa instantly. Then he quietly asked me, is it true? The silence that followed felt unbearable. Vanessa's lips trembled immediately. Leo, you took my money? Her face collapsed completely. No, sweetheart, You lied to us? I watched her completely fall apart hearing those words from our son. Vanessa reached toward him slowly. Please let me explain. But Leo stepped backward. That tiny movement destroyed her more than losing the company ever could. He looked at me instead. Can we go to bed now? I nodded quietly. Yeah. Vanessa started crying again as I walked Leo toward his room. He never looked back at her once. Weeks passed after that night. Adrian was officially arrested for fraud, financial theft, and document manipulation. News channels covered the scandal constantly. Vanessa lost her executive position within days. Public humiliation followed quickly afterward. The same business world that once admired her suddenly treated her like poison. But despite everything, I refused to destroy her completely. Rachel didn't understand it at first. She helped ruin your family, Ethan. I know. She betrayed your son. I stayed silent for several seconds before answering quietly. Leo already lost enough. That was the truth. Revenge would not fix what happened to him. It would only create more damage. One morning, weeks later, I stood outside watching the sunrise with Leo asleep against my shoulder. The sky slowly turned orange above the city while cold wind moved around us gently. For the first time in months, things felt quiet, peaceful. Leo stirred slightly. Dad, yeah, buddy. Are we going to be okay? I held him tighter immediately. Always. And for the first time since this nightmare started, I truly meant it. Then I noticed Vanessa standing quietly near the apartment entrance, watching us from a distance. No expensive clothes. No confidence. No power. Just regret. She looked at Leo like she wanted to walk closer. But she didn't, because deep down, she finally understood the truth. She kept choosing the wrong person until she lost the only people who truly loved her. And by the time she realized it, everything that mattered was already gone.